Hey everybody, my name is Angie Morenga. You're watching Just Angie, where we have the most inspiring conversations. Today is the 12th day of June. I'm like, oh my goodness, I think quarter two now is almost done because it's April, May, June. Yeah, June or quarter two of the year is almost done. And today I wanted to speak to us about sort of significance, but I've got so many, like, it's a theme I'm going to carry out throughout the year. We had this Women Rising event that was called Inspired for Significance. And we had, I think, 16 facilitators, all handling different topics. Great shout out to Sylvia Mundia, who came up with the themes. And they were so, like, powerful. And it was, some people talked about embracing yourself, positioning yourself for significance. We talked about excellence and significance. So different people were facilitating different sections. And mine was building for significance. And there's a statement I wrote here: building a legacy of significance is about rising above the pain. And I wanted to talk about pain and talk about fear and talk about sadness and some of these expressions that we don't allow ourselves to feel. So, like I said, I'm on this journey. I'm doing therapy. I'm reading 3 books in this season. One of them is The Relationship Principles of Jesus Christ. The other one is Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, and The Gift of Rejection by Nona Jones. So I'm doing all those in tandem, flowing with them because I'm working on myself. And what I love is when I'm working on myself, I also want you to work on yourself. And I think the journey that I'm on, if you start this journey early, it will be a plus for you. Don't wait to get as old as we are now to start doing what you need to do. So building significance is rising above pain. So pain is something that I've had to go through. I've been through a lot of pain, and as I've assessed pain, it's been a lot. Actually, my therapist keeps saying, "You've been through so much pain." I even told her to stop saying that now. But I wanted to read something. He says, "Don't practice the disciplines of Christianity to run away from pain." So there's a place for, it sounds like an oxymoron. First of all, we've been taught not to process pain, not to face pain, or even fear or even sadness, and that's not right. So what I sense is, for the first time in my life, I'm facing the pain, breaking it down, trying to understand what this pain was about, what is the root cause of the pain, so that I can then, I've been saying this statement of face it, heal, and deal, and then there will be restoration. So it's not to sit in the pain forever, because the Bible says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love and a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. So there's that space. But what I feel and what I'm trying to speak to is how we can go through life without ever facing our pain, ever facing our fears or our sadness, and then Christianity almost becomes a way that we mute. We mute it so we don't feel the pain. We don't engage the pain. You have to recognize the pain. One of the things I love, I'm smiling because when I think about my painful journeys, some of them I didn't even know they were painful. It's crazy. I didn't understand how painful. I didn't understand the magnitude because I'm going through and I have to get through this because there are things I need to do. Like even raising a child, being married and then finding myself as a single mother, I didn't have time to face that pain. I just needed to power through what I was going through. But at some point, I need to face it. I need to face what was this season about? What was this pain about? What can I do about it? How do I unpack it? And then it also brought me to a place where I started looking at pain for what were my parents' pain points that I know? What can I imagine or think were my grandparents' pain points? Because it's important. Rather than just, I don't know who called it, he said religion is the opium of the masses. We can't just take, it's not just an opium. We've got to deal, I think, at the root. Remember, I even talked about the iceberg principle. We've got to deal at root causes of the things that we're going through so that we can really heal. So that I think one of my guests here said today, it's not just to put a bandage on things. And that's why I'm saying we need to address pain. Building a legacy of significance means rising above the pain. And I think that truth was brought home by many circumstances. I've had friends, acquaintances who have given up on life, because of the pain. Something painful happened and they've never been able to stand up. That's wrong. You have to stand up. You have to get past that pain. You have to unpack that pain. You probably have to feel it. You probably have to scream if you need to scream, but you need to address it. So that, I guess, there's this famous saying now in Nairobi where we say, wacha niseme initoke. So what I'm also saying is that in terms of pain, you can't just pretend it didn't happen, or you can't just wish it away, or I don't know why I keep hearing this word, mute it. Sort of mute it. It's still there. And I don't know why I'm feeling like if you mute it, it will mutate. Stop muting it. Feel it. Admit to yourself. Because what this journey has helped me do is be able to say where I'm angry and why I'm angry. Some things I've never said. I was never able to say I'm angry at this. But now I was able to say it. I was able to say these are my fears and try to interrogate, why do I fear these things? This is my areas of sadness. Why do I feel sad? Why allow myself to feel sad? And I don't know why this comes to mind, but self isolation is a really bad thing. And like I said, it's like an oxymoron, because I feel there are seasons in life where you need to isolate. But there are then seasons where we're running away from things. And I remember saying once, if every time you get invited out for something, you say no, or you think of your sofa, you can just see it. And I'm like, let me go to my sofa. I do not even want to engage these people. There's a place where you have to get out of that thing of self-isolation that is not beneficial to you. My mentor, Bishop T. Jakes, used to say that the only thing that's wrong with ministry is people. You can almost say the only thing that's wrong with life is people. But what you have to do is we have to learn to live with the people. So you have to face the pain. You have to face the fear. You have to interrogate, why am I fearful? Why am I feeling sad? Why do I react in this certain way? And especially to live in relationship with other people. It's very, very important. There are people who are saying they want to get married. You can't get married in the state that you are. There has to be some healing that takes place. There has to be some unpacking that takes place, so that you don't destroy the other person, or you don't destroy the relationship even before it starts. And one of the places I think I said in the first video of this series is that relationships are highly fractured. Highly. We don't know how to relate. But to build for significance, you have to learn about relationships. I'm always amazed now at my reactions to things. If it was 20 years ago, the way I would have reacted, and now it's very different, because I've learned. And I've probably learned through the pain, but I've learned. Like, I don't need to comment about this. I don't need to have a view. And if I do, it can be my own private view. I don't have to say anything right now. This is not going to... Is it helpful? What I'm about to say, is it helpful? Whereas before, I didn't care. I just say what I needed to say, and you'll have to deal with it. But that's not the way we want to live with people, because we're trying to build a legacy. And the other thing we discovered about building a legacy of significance that was unilateral through the whole theme is that building is daily, almost hourly, almost weekly, almost monthly. We are building in real time. We are building. So it's important, even as we come to quarter 2 of 2025, for you to reflect on what you're building and why are you building it and what can stop the building. And one of the things I wanted to address is pain. Refusing to face our pain, refusing to face our anger, fear, and sadness can prevent you from building. Because the thing is, I feel like pain, like the people I said who have not been able to get past the pain, it's crippling. It can be so crippling, and you just stay there and you stay stuck. The other thing that comes to mind is, for me, I had a daughter. And I think sometimes, when God gives us children, He really blesses us, because there are moments I wanted to give up on life, but I'd look at her and think, I can't give up. This is a whole responsibility here. I have to wake up because of her. I have to move because of her. I have to function because I have another generation. And now I have motivation times 100. Her name is Alora. Actually, we have to do a podcast with her. We must. She is now, I am motivated on steroids. When I see her, I'm like, wow. And when I see her, sometimes I think I have morbid thoughts. I think there will be a time when I won't be here and she'll still be here. So I won't be here to defend her. So I need to teach her. I need to pour into her. I need to make sure that she knows when we fall down, we get up. That, or that the different painful circumstances she has they will never come to her because she's been equipped. Remember, I talked about decisions that, when I think about decisions, like, my God, I don't know how we were not taught to make decisions. So I'm going to teach her how to make decisions. She's got to have to know, this is how you make a decision. This is how you reflect on a decision. This is how you seek godly counsel. I can't wait to have those kind of conversations and lessons with her. And being a grandma is so, so lovely. I find myself calling her out. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you. But it's because grandchildren see their children in their grandparents, see their children in their grandchildren. So I'm always, it just comes automatically. I'm like, Althea, and she's like, this is not Althea, this is Alora. But immediately my head is, I'm speaking to Althea because I can see. And then the thing also with that building a legacy and significance is I have an opportunity to course correct all the mistakes that I made with Althea. I'm going to go far and beyond to make sure that they don't happen for Alora. We can't make those mistakes with her, because now we are conscious of them, and because we've done a deep dive into the source of this pain, why this pain, what happens, how do we do this, how do we not do this. And for me, I'm also grateful because of significance that I have books, and I still have many more to write. But also it's a challenge for you out there. Also write something so that people will know, generations will know what you stood for. The other day I was flipping through social media and I found a post that says, in 100 years you will not be remembered. I was like, now who put this post here? Why are people disturbing people on the net? Like they said, in 100 years, count 100 years, you will not be remembered. And I saw it, and then I thought, okay, there are ways that you can make yourself be remembered, like having a podcast, writing a book, doing a movie, doing something that is tangible that people can see, look, and read. And I said the other day, actually, on that building significance event, that I remember when I told my dad to write his book, and I'm so glad he wrote his book, because there's so many things I found out about him in his book. But I found that in that publisher's office, there were books that were written only for families. So there are people out there who are very private, and that you can write a book that can be circulated only to your family. Only family members will be able to read that book. That's amazing. So that we know what you stood for. What did you stand for? And also because we have this habit, especially in Africa, in Kenya, where we don't build on foundations. So we don't build a business for generations. We can't say the business is 100 years old, the legacy is 100 years old, 200 years old, because we're not building. We start again. We're continuously starting again instead of building off something. Then that would be a good thing, that people can see, what did you stand for? You're not here, but they can see you, they can hear you, they can understand your values, they can understand what shaped your journey. And even as we talk about building for significance and legacy, I wish the one thing I'd asked my late dad, or I wish I'd understood how much education meant for him. It is after he passed on that I understood. Because you see, education changed his life completely and totally. If he had not been educated, this is not the life we would have been living. So it is important to look at what are those building blocks that have made you who you are, so that you can leave that information for your family. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all the pain that I've been discovering, and the things that have not gone really well in my family. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do about that yet, but at least I've written one book that says that. So it also says, ignoring sadness and fear we feel as Christians, we should avoid feeling. But I was very excited to understand that feeling is human. So you must feel those things. You must say, what is it I fear? You must say, what is it that I'm sad about? Shame was a big one. And I found the shame comes from so many things, Even lack can produce shame. I noticed that because my parents came from they came from poverty, that poverty can produce a big shame, a lot of shame. I'm telling you now too many stories about me. So shame is something that I've had to rise above, and I'm facing it now. Like, why do I feel shame? Why do I not talk about the things that I do? Why do I not talk about my accomplishments, because that there was I was not safely taught or educated about shame. There was always shame, so we have to rise above the shame. So it was always something that was there. Um, Poverty can really cause a lot of shame because there's lack. Even having people from single parent families can cause a lot of shame because you're lacking something. You're lacking a father, you're lacking a mother, you're lacking, there's something that's lacking that is producing shame. So it's good to look at, why am I ashamed? Or why do I feel shame? Or why can't I talk about this? Or why does this bring about feelings of shame? We said we're rising above the pain. So sometimes we're so ashamed of our lives and the circumstances in our life that we don't even want to talk about it, let alone rise above it. But that's not going to help anyone. So I'm giving you a challenge as well to rise above the shame. Face the fear, face the sadness, face the shame, face the pain. This is painful. And begin to break it down so that you can build a legacy of significance. I told you I've been writing a lot. Writing a lot. There's hurt, there's pain, there's depression. All these things are important. And you need to understand that there's nothing wrong in my life if I feel these things. But what the thing is, like I said, you have to feel them. Then you have to face them. Then you have to begin to find ways to deal with them. And then you have to heal. And then there'll be a lot of restoration, because that's the idea. I've been wondering, why am I having these conversations? But I've remembered that my purpose scripture is to rebuild, raise, renew, and restore the devastation of many generations. So these are conversations to bring restoration to generations, to create something new. But you can't create something new if you're not going to deal with the old. And when I was doing this research, I love that I found, I think it's 2 Corinthians 5:17, which says when we become born again, we become new creatures. But it doesn't mean, and I was really thinking about that, and it says the old has gone and the new has come. But it's talking about your nature. The old nature has gone, but the new has come. But there are still things in your life that are still there that need to be dealt with. You don't have to stay there for 15 years. But I'm just having a sense of, let's start dealing and unpacking the things that we need to unpack. I think we talked about even today with some people here or on this series, on this podcast, how we don't want to deal with pain. And even going for that therapy is very painful because you have to face the pain. And I remember how my anxiety rose as the day got closer because I didn't know what to expect. But that's what I'm saying. We have to go back to unpack it so that we can rebuild it, so that we can rise above it, and so that we have a different effect and a different result and a different outcome. It's all about restoration. So even having hard conversations is a good thing. And I don't know, this has come to light as well. One of the things that we did in therapy is write a lot. So I have so many notebooks. But when it got to a place where we couldn't talk, she asked us questions and we wrote answers. And then we read those answers to each other. And that was much easier. So I don't know why I want to say this to somebody who maybe you need to have a conversation with a parent or a loved one or a spouse or a sibling, and it's a painful one. Maybe you can write it down. Have questions leading questions. So you ask the question, but then you write down the answers and then you read them out. And that seemed to have reduced the pressure. It seemed to have reduced the stress, the fact that we are writing the answer and then we're going to read the answer to each other. That also helps a lot. And I don't know why also I feel this thing for people who are journaling. Journals are very powerful. And I know people do journaling in very many different ways. But this could be the beginning of your healing, could be just beginning to journal. Just beginning to journal your thoughts. Becoming, I'm almost saying, intimate and true with your thoughts, because that's what I think my mentor likes to say, which sort of in this season has made sense, where we can tell ourselves a lie until it becomes a truth. Like we have lied about this till in our mind it's a truth, but it's a lie. And we probably tell lies to cover up pain, fear, sadness, and shame. You tell yourself a story that is not the real story. So what I'm challenging us in this season is to tell the real story. Tell the real story to yourself. Tell the real story to those that you go to for help, whether it's a therapist, a coach, a counselor, a spiritual authority, a pastor, somebody that you can begin to open up yourself to. Because I think the most important thing it's going to do is going to help us to heal. And then when we come in contact with other people, because there are all sorts of relationships. There's the marriage relationships, there's relationship with your children, there's relationship with your in-laws, there is relationships at work. Then we are able to relate better. So the premise of this podcast is you need to rise above the pain. Don't let the pain get you stuck. Neither don't negate that there is pain. If there is pain, there is pain. And we need to address the pain. And we need to understand where is the pain coming from and what can we do. And the visual I have in my spirit is like when somebody has a boil or something is wrong, you go in and you dig out all the drama that's around the wound or in the wound, and it's very painful, and then you allow it to heal. That's what I feel. I feel like this is a season to face yourself, face your fears, face your sadness, face your shame, face your lack, and begin a work of healing. But to do that, you have to joke right. You have to go deep and remove everything that is refusing you to move forward, because if you don't do that, there's going to be almost impossible to move forward. And then also, I think what happens is then you're sparked off or triggered. I think the word these days is triggers. But you can be triggered by anything, anywhere, and that's not going to be a good thing for you, especially because of how you relate to others. It's time for that. I will touch on this at another time as well, but as I've been reading the relationship principles, what it is that we need to be all in. And there's a way that God is calling us to be all in. And there's a scripture, I hope they find it, that says that God says his greatest commandment is for us to love God with all our heart, strength and mind, but to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And that is very powerful. So being all in means loving God, being all in. And I have a sense that even in a marriage or a relationship or a partnership or a business, you're not going to be your full self unless you're all in. And being all in, because what we do is we have these masks. We have veils, we have faces that we bring out in front of people, but never bring out the real us. But the real us is triggered, and then out it comes, and then guys are like, hey, like what happened? So I feel this is a call to be able to heal the very innermost parts of you and be all in, so that when you come into, I don't know why it's not just marriage, but it's also coming up a lot in my spirit, but so that when you come into marriage, you're all in, you're healed, you know what your triggers are. I was laughing and telling some people somewhere that I think it would be a good idea to even go on a date and start with all the drama. These are the dramas in my life. Let's not start with positive. Let's start with what's wrong with my life. What are my triggers? What's my pain? What am I trying to rise above right now? What is threatening to keep me down? Let's talk about those things, because it's important. We can't just paint this happy face. Then something happens, and then this other person erupts, and the person is the hey, and where did that come from? That's what I'm trying to deal with. I'm trying to say, let's deal with where did that come from. Let's deal with the things that trigger us, and the things that cost us. Because what happens is when we react, then it costs us. It costs us a relationship. It costs us a marriage. It costs us a friendship. It costs us a business partnership. It costs us something. So let's deal with the things that would cost us something, so that when it happens, it's less of a blow. And you're also aware of it yourself. I think I talked about blind spots, but that one I'm really praying, because I guess it's a journey of healing, but you need to understand what your blind spots are, but you still need to affirm yourself as well, and then you have to rise above the pain. So whatever painful situation you're going through right now, you've got to find a way to step up and to rise up above it. And it's been done. I think the other thing I was saying, it's been done. It's been done. People have been able to rise above pain. When I think about my own dad, he lived for 40 years on a wheelchair, and built a great life for us, and a legacy and an inheritance. He could have sat and said, I can't do anything. I'm now in a wheelchair. So there are many other examples like that. There are people who have gone through things and gone through experiences that have threatened to destroy the very nature of who they are, but they've refused and they've risen above it. So my challenge for you is rise above it and understand building a legacy of significance means rising above pain. It means facing the pain, unpacking the pain, defining the pain, and then starting on a journey to heal the pain, and to bring, I hear the word restructuring and restoration, so that we can build on another generation and give them the tools on which they can build capacity, to be better people, to have better relationships, and to build their own legacies built on your legacy. God bless you so, so much. I hope that makes sense. So it is when I'm all over the place, I know that it makes sense because I'm all over the place because different people need to hear different conversations. And I pray and ask that you like, share, subscribe, and please comment. Honestly, you can't just be keeping quiet here. Talk to me. Tell me what it is that you want. I have so many places to put it's just crickets. Nobody's saying anything. Don't be like that, just Angie family. Tell me, give me your thoughts, your comments. I'm even happy with those even who direct message me because maybe they don't want to put the message out there on social media, but speak to me and let me know how I can speak to you, because I said this next 20 years is my legacy building years. It's my legacy building years, and I'm building legacy by pouring into you. I'm building legacy by sharing my story so that your story is different, and I don't want to cry. I need your story to be different. I need you to know that you can rise above everything. I need to know that you can get up, and you must get up. Refuse to be stuck. Refuse to be stuck. Get up, take a shower, put on something, go talk to somebody, and know that this is not the end. It doesn't matter whatever is trying to tell you this is the end. It's not the end. This can be a new beginning if you choose to make it a new beginning. God bless you and love you so, so much. Bye.